Hello.
Can
How are
you hear me
you?
all right? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah, I can't get on my laptop. It's just telling me that the site's down.
Oh, that's
So
bizarre, but I'm
yeah,
glad
so
you
I've
managed to
just
make it.
so I thought, oh, I'll just come on my phone, but I look weird. Don't I look weird?
It just, I think whenever you do it on a phone, it always ends up like doing it portrait, but it's fine. It looks like it's a good picture. It's just we
As soon
only
as
get
I
a
can
slither of the cells.
as soon as I can get my laptop to do its job, we'll sort it out. But
It's just difficult, isn't it, when you're trying to do tech stuff?
I
Um,
don't know why it's just saying it can't process StreamYard. I don't know why. Anyway.
well, you're here and you're on holiday. Hooray!
And my bathroom's done, Amy. Oh
Oh, perfect
yes.
timing.
3:30 they finished today, so by tomorrow afternoon I'll be able to have a shower.
Yay! You don't realize how much you appreciate like basic human needs, do you, until you're actually deprived of one.
Just like a toilet, just like we've only got one toilet in the house. So, we had to buy a camping toilet to get us
Oh,
by. And you can keep yourself fairly clean, but it's not the same, is it, as having a proper shower. So, I just can't wait. But it looks so pretty. Oh my God.
yeah.
It makes the rest of the house look shameful now.
Well, that's the thing. My bathroom really needs doing, and I'm the opposite. My bathroom makes the rest of the house look worse, and I'm going to try and do it at some point. I really want a
So
nice
I
bathroom.
can't.
We haven't changed ours since we moved in, and it was looking a bit tight when we moved in. So,
Ours is the same, darling. The bathroom in there, everything else has been done. Bathroom and kitchen need to do, but they've been in since 1973.
oh gosh,
So when they took the bath out, the floor collapsed in.
gosh, that's scary. Did they manage
Yeah,
to fix everything?
yeah, they've done a great job, and they were local people to us, and
Oh,
they
that's
were
good.
ever so tidy and ever so clean, and yeah, they've done a fantastic job. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, I'm so pleased it's all come together just in time for Christmas because you weren't going to get much done over
Oh,
Christmas, were you? So at least they've done it.
I've got so much to do before then now though, because I don't know about you, but I like everything to be done before Christmas. So I'm trying to get all my washing done, or all my baking done, everything done. And so it's going to be a mad few days. But how are you anyway? You feeling better as a little one?
Yeah, I've still got a really sore throat. It kind of seems to go away for a few days. And then today I've woken up and it's really sore again. So I think it's just one of those things that I need 2 weeks of rest. I've got 2 weeks off work with Nathan.
Ooh,
I know it's the longest I've had off work because I now work term time. Um, this is the first proper stretch of time off with him, so it's really lovely. So Kev's phone is going off like with a reminder every 30 seconds. So yeah, it's really nice. I'm going to do so much reading. My reading has just taken a proper nosedive since September with editing Mina. I'm reading a book that you might be interested in, which is described as crime romantasy, but I think emphasis more on the crime. And
is
it's
it
got a werewolf in
werewolves?
it. Yeah, I guessed it from the clause, and then I
Yeah.
remember they asked me if I wanted to read it a while ago, and I got sent the proof, and I've been so busy it just got put on the pile, and I didn't even really know what it was. And as I was reading the back, I was like, everything about this sounds brilliant. It's one of those, like she's a werewolf trying to, get on in the human world, and then murders start happening, and she ends up being pulled into investigating and stuff. And I love that. It says on the front, "Cozy crime is dead, so is Lucy Haig." I think as a tagline, that's really good.
It's a great cover.
Yeah, I think this is just the proof cover with the foil, and then I'm assuming I think I saw the finished cover somewhere. This is just the uncorrected proof, but it comes out in May. It says age 14 plus, so a lot of YA says 12 plus. So I'm thinking, oh, is this like upper end YA? Am I in for some sexy romantic times
Sexy
or some
times. Sexy
good
times in
gory?
that, I reckon.
Well, or good gory horror. Can I hope for the horror instead, or both?
Do you know, I've just last time I was on when I was in the chat the other day, I was saying that I was reading a proof for this YA horror called Nightmares from the Grey,
Yeah.
which was Blood Dungeons and Dragons. It was fantastic. But actually that was the upper end of YA. It's aimed at like 15 to 16-year-olds, but the horror in it was quite gruesome. I mean, not extreme, but for a YA, I was quite shocked actually. but in a
Interesting.
nice way, because you know me, I like the gory.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think teenagers do. I've talked to teachers about this and librarians, and like this is what teens are asking for, I think, especially the younger end. Like when we were 9, 10, 11, like, and I was reading point horror and then jumping to adult books, like teenagers now have actually got this sweet spot in between where they can read age appropriate, if not slightly boundary pushing horror. And I think that's really good because that just didn't exist 20 years ago.
I went from Nancy Drew to Stephen King. So, you know, there was nothing. And it is great. And I mean, even like middle grade, middle grade kids. I mean, Alex has spoken about it, hasn't she? Do you know, kids that age, they love something gory. They do, as long as it's not explicit. They love that. They love the idea of somebody going through a mincing machine. I mean, that just, it makes them laugh.
The thing is,
They don't take it seriously.
They imagine it at their own level. Nathan plays Plants vs. Zombies with me, and obviously he doesn't know what a zombie is in the sense of the word, but he just thinks it's hilarious that their heads pop off. And it's like, well, it doesn't mean that he understands the gore side of it, because there's no blood. It's just a little head falls off. And they do, like, kids crave that, and if anything they enjoy it more because they don't understand like the human mortality side of it and stuff. Like they just see the fun.
Especially little kids. Do you know that they're too young to have experienced any kind of bereavement or grief or death at that point, so it's just funny to them. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. And also it prepares them a little bit for the idea of it later on. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic.
Oh, brilliant. I have to add that to my list. So what are you planning to read tonight?
Well, I've got a load of arcs have just come in, indie arcs I need to read. So I've got a Werewolf's Diary. I'm started that one, which is fantastic, which is an adult, more extreme horror, but it's great fun.
Is it too extreme for me? Or I'm just trying to add it to my list, but I'm like, should I add it to my list?
I don't think so.
What's it called? Werewolf Diary?
A Werewolf's Diary. It's by Alexandra Nisneru. Who's a good friend. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll check the triggers for you, see what's in there. I'm also reading the second European Halls.
Oh, I remember you reading the first one. You really enjoyed that one, didn't you?
Yeah, this is an arc. It's a carry on from it's a trilogy, basically. It's YA horror, very much in the vein of Scream and that kind of 90s kish kind of horror. But the killer in it is, you know, there's a lot of deaths, but it is YA, but higher YA. And this one's set in it's set in Budapest this time rather than Belgium and Brussels. And then I've got to get into read the YA book club, which I haven't even started yet.
I mean, I know that you're a fast reader, so you're not going to have a problem, and it's very fast paced. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm just having a little break because I was talking to the author the other day, and it's so interesting because I think my sweet spot is like the fun, lighter side of, you know, thrillers. And this one's quite gritty and dark, so I'm enjoying it, but I'm kind of needing little moments between because it's quite intense. Not in terms of the horror and stuff, but just the things it makes you think about and feel, because it's about stalking, so it's quite a lot.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
I've picked this up as like a bit of a light relief.
So stalking to werewolves is light relief.
Yeah, that's the scale for me, because I'm not going to meet a real werewolf, but I could get stalked. Like that's what scares me. But interestingly, I've been thinking about my favorite reads of the year, and they're all adult horror. So I think I need to read some more adult horror, because I really enjoyed Bad Dolls by Rachel Harrison. Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward. And there's another one that I've forgotten. But yeah, so adult horror written by women seems to be the theme of my year. So that's what I'm gonna pursue next year, because it's interesting how I love YA, but they're the ones that I've really gravitated towards.
I'm very much reading a lot of indie women horror. And I mean adult horror, obviously. I've just read a fantastic one by this American woman called Asia Britta Guerrera, called Butterscotch, which is extreme horror, but it's a proper revenge tale. It was absolutely brilliant. Just when I thought I knew where it was going, it went somewhere else. I love it when it surprises me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Have you read Mayfly? Because that sounds a little bit like that. Do you think I would like that? How dark is that one?
I didn't think that was. I mean, some of I mean, there's no kids in it. The sexual violence in it is a bit more explicit,
Yeah,
and
not a fan of
the
that.
kills
Yeah.
are good. I quite enjoyed it, but I found it a little bit pretentious.
Mm.
Personally, I felt it was a bit like it could have been so much better, and I hated the ending.
Oh, it's sad, isn't it? When I think books like that, if I'm not sure all the way through, I reserve judgment until the ending, and it can rise and fall. Looking Glass Sound was a bit like that for me. I didn't think it
Yeah,
was pretentious or anything like that. I thought it was great, but as I was reading it, I was like, this could be the best thing I've ever read, and the end just needs to be right. And the end was right for me, because it's such a weird, twisty, dark, multi-layered book. I think if it didn't pull it all off and pull it together at the end, I would have been disappointed, but it did.
yeah.
And I think that's why it really stuck with me. I almost remembered then the other adult book. It's like going to play on my mind now. What else do I
It'll
really
fly
like?
in your head in a minute. Just don't
It
think about
will.
it.
In half an hour, I'll suddenly burst out with it. The other thing was I've nearly finished the Buffy Audible series, and
What did you think?
I think it is so good. I
Yeah,
think
me
it's
too.
among the best Buffy like follow-on things that I've read, because I always try them and I'm always really tentative, and I love Kendara Blake's, but I really loved it. I was surprised at how good the writing was, actually, because I kind of thought I was going to love the cast regardless, but I also thought the story was really in keeping with Buffy, and the characters were all really, although it was like multiverse, so some of them weren't the same people we knew.
Yeah.
I like Cordelia, the direction that character went, I thought was absolute perfection.
It was
Like, it was
just
just,
so lovely to hear their voices,
mm,
and they just seemed to slip back into their characters so well. I loved Spike and Drusilla. Oh my
they were
God.
incredible. It was like no time had passed
And
with both
no,
of them.
no, well, it hasn't for them, they're vampires.
Well, yeah, this is true. But yeah, they were just, I saw a little interview with them, and James Master said he forgot how good it was to act alongside her, that like she gave him chills all over
I
again.
just love it. I think she's such a fantastic actress. I really do.
I don't think I appreciated her. When I watched it as a teenager, I didn't understand her character. I don't think I understood what had driven her to become that, and the fact that she actually was mad because of the horrible things that happened to her, like Angelus had driven her mad. And I think when I watched that as an adult, I was like, gosh, that is really powerful, and that is really like painful. So yeah,
Yeah.
listening to that was really good, with like a new appreciation of who she is as a character. But yeah, I think I've got
She
about 20 minutes left of it.
she's
They're
done
just
a lot
wrapping everything up.
of US TV shows. She did a Criminal Minds, a really fantastic gothic Criminal Minds episode.
All right,
And
cool.
she does a lot of US TV stuff and a lot of theatre work. She's a fantastic actress. Really
She
good.
briefly followed me on Twitter, and I screenshotted it out of the shock. I don't know how she found me. And I followed her back, but I don't think she follows me now. At some point, she's unfollowed me. Whether she just follows people that have a vampire connection, I don't know. But she seems very, very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. And James is fantastic, isn't
Oh
he?
yeah,
So
I don't think it goes out saying how much I love him. So, and he's just like, the character was so ambiguous in it as well. I just couldn't tell if he was going to play it like our Spike, or if he was going to kind of be
yeah.
like a bad Spike. It was really good.
And I love Giles as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've got a really soft spot for Anthony Head. So do you know what I mean? So
I
I
didn't know
just
he was in
absolutely
it. I'd somehow missed that, so that was a really nice surprise for me, because I'd seen that Spike was in it, and I'd seen that Cordelia was in it, and I think I'd seen Drusilla. So the rest, and I also thought Indira, the new character and the girl who played it, I thought was excellent. It's really hard to
yes.
fit into a cast like that, and she was great, really good.
Did you watch the documentary they did for it?
No, I haven't actually. I've
So
only seen
I think it's on
trailer of
YouTube.
it.
It's not long. It's only about 15, 20 minutes. But it talks to, because Amber Benson, of course, was the one who's produced it. Tara, in case
Yeah,
anybody don't know what I'm talking about. And so they did this like 20 minutes documentary about how they all came back together. It's on YouTube somewhere. I'll find the link for you.
thank you. I
It's
definitely need
really
to watch.
interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I've got some headspace now, so I can actually breathe. And because I'm still editing Mina, but it now is typeset, and it's very nearly the book I want it to be. So I don't feel under that same pressure now. Like, I feel like now it could almost be printed, and I'd be happy. I'm not quite happy
It's a
yet.
book now. It's a book.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. Yeah. I
So I
get
feel
that.
I can relax a litlittle. I'm just going to pop to the comments, and then we'll go to the first sprint. Hi.
Okay.
Hi, Adrian. I
Hi,
mean, I
Adrian.
never rule anything out, but I
Who
haven't met one.
knows?
If there is one and they're watching, then please make yourself known. But
It's why I wear silver,
this is it.
just in
Silver,
case.
have a few crosses lying around, plenty of garlic, and you kind of cover all your bases. Hi.
Hello, great name.
Yes. So my throat is slightly going, my voice is going tonight. So I'm going to
Won't
probably
it?
do 2 sprints. Probably do a 40-minute one, have a break and chat, and then a 40-minute one. I'll see how I go, but I've just got the feeling that I'm going to flag earlier than usual tonight. I'm going to do some sprints over Christmas, so this will be a short one than usual. But
Well,
yeah, I
I'm
think
around if you need me.
cool. Thank you, always. So yeah, I'm going to read a bit of Mina, read a bit of this book that looks really cool. All the Hidden Monsters. I keep wanting to call it All Our Hidden Monsters. I don't know why. Maybe I just want to associate with the monsters or something. I don't know. So I'll pop the timer on for 40 minutes and then we'll catch up on the other side. Let us know in the comments what you are getting up to. Hello, I was actually ready for once. Feels like a novelty that I expected the kitty. I think you muted, Sharon, but perfect.
Hello.
Hello, you're full screen now. Are you sorted?
Yay! I don't know, just suddenly hooked in. I don't know. It's very weird.
I don't question tech anymore. I just assume that it's going to mess up, and then I'm pleasantly surprised when it does. So,
At least I know I can use the phone now if I need to. So
yeah,
that's always useful.
yeah, it was good. So, what have you been reading between all the tech issues?
So I've been reading A Werewolf's Diary, which is it's fantastic. It's told in diary form about an alpha who's trying to take over, and then he needs to create his own pack. So he's bitten this bloke, and he's turning, and all these strange things are happening to him, and his girlfriend doesn't know what's going on, and his boss is kind of, what's wrong with you, and every time he cuts himself, he heals. So yeah, it's very good.
So, is the diary from the point of view of this person who's turning?
It's everybody's point of view. So it's the alpha's point of view, Matt, who's the man, Lisa's point of view is his girlfriend, James, the boss. Everybody's point of view is in diary form. It's really, really, it's like multimedia with reports in middle of it, of like, you know, from the police and stuff about the attack, and it's really good. She's a very new author. She wrote a very short novella last year called The Hunt, and which was also about werewolves, which was 140 pages. It was only a short novella. This is a full novel. It's like 400 pages, which is a lot for a horror.
Yeah, it is. I think that's a good length, though, to have a little bit of room for like development and, you know, world building, and if there is so much mixed media as well, that's a bit of space, isn't it? Because I know that it takes up a lot of room in the mixed media sometimes.
So I have been, you know, I am looking at it, editing it as I go as well, because it's on beta reading.
Oh, cool.
So, and she's asked me to edit if I can. So I'm doing that too, but because she's not English isn't her first language. So yeah.
That's really difficult, because writing a novel anyway and kind of being cohesive and clear and everything,
She's done
to be
so
doing it
well.
while you're translating.
She's done so well. There's a couple of scenes that, you know, I've just picked up on, but the actual way she's talking is like people talk. That's just she's really down. I mean, she's married to an English person and her kids are English, so I guess she's around it a lot, isn't she? But you know, very impressed. She's written it in a very short time.
So, that's amazing. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Well, I'm enjoying my werewolf book that I'm reading as well. Sorry, my phone is refusing to snooze. It's got a message going off. So this
Werewolf Night.
Yeah, All the Hidden Monsters. I thought I'd just read while I was drinking my cup of tea. I read the first couple of chapters, and it's just one of those books that's immediately arresting the voice, the characters.
Yeah.
I can tell who the main characters are going to be, although we've met a few people. And it's just one of those that's a bit quirky and offbeat. Like, we've met a couple of ghosts, and the main character's a werewolf. And it's already hinted at the wolf kind of being beneath the surface, which I always like in a werewolf book. I think it always feels like a bit of a cop-out when the wolf's not there at all and they're just human and there's no other kind of consequence. I like it when you get to delve into the werewolf kind of psyche. So yeah, I think this is going to be really good. It feels like a little bit offbeat, which I like. I like it, reading a book and thinking, oh, I've not read anything like this before / for a while. So this is good. And I'm working on Mina. I'm nearly 300 pages through the 400 pages, rereading it. And yeah, it's coming together really nicely. There's still a couple of things I'm querying and some daft little things I've left in. Like I just found like half a line that I can tell is from a previous edit where I've taken one bit out, but I've forgotten to take the follow-up. So I think I'm noticing all the final little bits, and the proofreader's got it at the same time, so she will be picking up these things too. So I assume when I compile our edits, we'll have noticed a lot of the same things. So hopefully it'll all come together seamlessly. Just seeing
when have you got to get the final one to your publisher?
So January, I will get the proofread edits back, and I think I'll have a couple of weeks to turn that around. But it's being printed end of January, so that allows for basically.
Not long, is it?
No, it's not long. The proofreading edits will go in, and then I will get to check the final manuscript through. It's always a really quick turnaround, although it's 18 months between books. there's patches of quiet and then patches of go, 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 go. And this is the go, go, go patch. But like I said, I'm just taking it at my own pace now because I know that I've got a couple of weeks now to do this read through, get my edits on the PDF, and then when the proofreaders ones come, I can just apply those too. So it should all be fine. I'm starting to feel that confidence. I don't, midway through the process, I feel panicked, and then I start to feel confident as I'm nearly there with it. So
it won't be long. Won't be long.
No, it's exciting. I do have advice for this. Well done on finishing first draft. That's awesome. I would say leave it to breathe, because what I find now is I've literally got to edit as soon as I've written something, and you have no space to let it sit and just let your subconscious do work on what needs doing. Because I find it's all my conscious brain working on it all the time, and actually the best writing I do is when I've got time to just think and to let things sit. So do whatever you enjoy and need to do in this 2 weeks, especially because it's Christmas. Have a nice break. Because I bet your brain will be working on things. And if things come to you at that point, like you think, oh, this scene, I've just thought of a better way of doing it, I always jot that down. But then just leave it if I can, because having 2 weeks of complete space and then coming back to it a bit fresh is really good, because when you get on that treadmill of publication, you don't generally have time.
Just breathe into it. Just breathe. Let it breathe, and you go and you're going to think about it. Especially if it's your first book, it's going to be on your mind, isn't it? So, but lots of distractions over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Mainly wine and food. So
yeah, I think
there's that.
I mean, I don't drink, but the food definitely I'll make
Neither
up
do
for
I.
it in the food. Yeah.
Hot chocolate and food.
Yeah, precisely. I got a hot chocolate advent calendar, and the sad thing is, because my throat's been sore on and off, I've not drunk that many of them because I don't really fancy hot chocolate when my throat feels weird. I don't think I'd be able to taste it properly. So I've got all these hot chocolates stacking up, and my son's gone a bit rogue and he's opened some of the doors at the wrong time. So I think I've got like one left between now and the end of and Christmas Day, because they just keep accidentally opening themselves. Look, I found another hot chocolate.
I've got 3 days of my book advent left.
Oh, excellent.
That's all of my book advent there. So 3 days left.
Were they new books or were they TBR books that you wrapped?
So basically, during the year, whenever I've bought books, hauled books, I've always put 1 or 2 to one side. So they kind of, just because I knew I was going to do it. So they're just like random ones, and like stuff. A couple of them I picked up second hands. Or I've picked up in like the works or something. I've just thrown them in a pile. Well, not thrown, because I don't throw books.
Gently placed.
Gently placed. Like all on the bottom shelf of my bookshelf. I just piled them up, and then I had more than I needed. So then I just randomly picked 24, wrapped them up, and then mixed them up.
Do you know what? I think it's really brilliant doing things and thinking in advance of something that is going to bring you little bits of joy. Like Christmas is a great time of year, but it can be hard, and I think the weather makes it really difficult for me. Like I really
stormy here today. I don't know what it's like with you, but it's a real stormy here today.
Really windy, really grey, and looks like the sky is going to burst open at any point. Nathan and I went for a walk earlier, and it was definitely, the wind was whipping around. A bit of our fence has come down, which is annoying.
Hello.
Sorry, my husband's on the phone now. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all right. We're going to go to a sprint in a minute anyway. I'm just going to see what the last couple of comments are. And then we'll jump to
Chloe.
I think it's the final sprint. Hi, Chloe. That sounds absolutely lovely. I've completely messed up on Goodreads this year and keep forgetting to update it. So I'm going to try at the end of the year and sit and do a mass update, because I have got my YouTube videos, but I also don't list the books underneath. So I'm going to have to click through my YouTube videos. So I'm sure I'll miss my ebooks and my audios that don't come up on screen. But I think I should at least get the gist of what I read this year. Occult books. I feel like you're the person to ask about that, Sharon. Can you recommend any good occult books?
I love Dennis Wheatley. The Devil Rides Out is incredible. I'll think about that, which ones I would recommend. They don't really, I can't think of any modern ones. I think most of the ones I always think, I love Ramsey. What's his first name? John Ramsey. He writes fantastic occult books. But
can't really think of any. I'm like,
they don't write them like they used to. Do Do you know what I mean? So
I'm
they
thinking of
tend
like
to.
possession. It's not really like possession. I'm thinking like possession stuff, like My Best Friend's Exorcism. That's not really a cult, is it? What would you say encapsulates an occult book?
So I would say it would involve like Ouija boards, witchcraft, kind of ritualistic stuff.
Okay.
I can think of quite a few ritualistic horrors.
I think does Adam Neville do some of that? I feel like Adam Neville did one called
Is a
was
more
it called
folk horror.
Rituals? Yeah.
So they're more folkloric horror,
Yeah.
but he is very good at writing. It's a mix of they don't really have an occult genre now. It tends to be a folklore is what they use instead of occult because of the
Sorry, it's getting my brain
connotations.
turning. I'm thinking, oh, what can I do with that? The only thing that sprung to my mind is Frozen Charlotte starts with a Ouija board that sets a few things into motion. I'm sure there are more ways with Ouija boards. I do really like, not
I'm just
necessarily a
trying to.
cult, but the Cassidy Blake books have ghosts, and in the New Orleans one, there's definitely Ouija boards and contacting spirits and things like that. But I think that's probably not as dark as what you're looking for. You are so
Yeah,
welcome.
I'll tell you who's a really good, if you're looking for indies, a really good one is Nick Roberts. I've just recommended one of his books is coming out for next year, but he wrote The Exorcist's House and Anathema,
Cool.
and both of those are occult horrors. They're really, really good. Miracle Sim, which is one of my favourite books, it's my top book of the year, is a religious occult horror. Actually, very rare to find a religious horror, a really true religious horror. I'm bound to have loads, but you can't think of them off the top of your head, can you?
No, they sound like great recommendations. I'm sure during the sprint as well, if you think of them, you can pop them in the comments.
Yeah.
As we go. I'm interested because like I like the idea of the cult. That sounds wrong, but I like the idea of reading books about it, shall we say, but I can't actually think of anything that I've read. I've read some YAs that dip their toes into it, but nothing really like shocking and deep with it.
And you're right, Adam Neville wrote The Ruins and Ritual,
Oh
and those
yeah,
are occult, and
yeah.
those are occult horrors. So yeah. But I prefer his folklore stuff, especially his novellas. They're far more twisted and dark.
I haven't read any
Which
yet.
is right on my alley.
I think I've got the couple that you just said, but I haven't read them. But like I said, I'm going to try and dip my toes into adult horror more because I'm really interested in how much I've enjoyed them this year. But I think it has to be specific, so I have to really selective with adult horror and sort of take recommendations from people that I know have read them, read the content warnings.
And you have to know. I mean, not specifically triggers, because triggers is a specific thing. It's a specific mental health thing.
Yeah.
So it is actually complete panic. But a lot of people don't like reading stuff that have got certain content in, and that's understandable.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you need to, with adult horror, dependent on the level of horror you're looking at, if you're going for extreme horror, then you should assume everything's in there.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I hear extreme, I know that extreme sometimes it's very deliberate and things are chosen to shock and to start conversations. And I think I'm less interested in that. If it's in for gore's sake, if it's for a good reason, like I love it in the Scream films, like the gorier the better, because I think it's usually for a purpose. Even
it's
if that
normally things that are explicit, specifically, sexual assault or, or as you say, children or abuse or, ritualistic abuse, especially religious abuse, any kind of abusive situation can be very, very different. They're very difficult. And extreme horror, a lot of it doesn't have a list of content warnings because there's too many. So usually will tell you what's not in it.
Yeah, I mean, some people have asked me about content warnings for mine, and so far I've not included them. And maybe at some point I will change my mind about that. But it's all in the blurb. So it talks about difficult interactions with family. It talks about bloody murder. And I don't think nobody's ever said to me, "Oh, you should have warned me about this." If they do, I'll kind of update that. But I think if you're reading something that is branded extreme horror, I don't think I'd be upset that there isn't a content warning, because just the same as if I'm reading like an abduction story, the sort of things you're going to get. So I personally
clues in the title.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's okay to list the main ones, the big ones. I think perhaps you should. I personally for me, I avoid the trigger warning page. I don't want it. It spoils it for me. But I
Yeah.
understand other people need it. But if you're going to pick up a book that says extreme horror on the front, then you should expect that it's going to be the extreme version of everything you can imagine.
Yeah, I do think for YA, if it's something that you wouldn't expect to be in YA, I would put it, just because you're getting some kids who are, I get some parents who are who've got 9-10-year-olds coming to meet me, or occasionally online saying, would this be okay for my child to read? And I always just say, there's kissing, there's bloody murder, there's this. If that's okay, then yes, they can, it's up to you, it's up to them.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think YA, it is more tricky because there are people reading it that can, be exposed to things that they're maybe not ready for.
And I think that's a very fine line with traditionally published and indie. I think as you're traditionally published, somebody would pick that up if there was something too far over the line. In indie publishing, it's sometimes not picked up because you're self-publishing and often self-editing or using somebody like me as an editor, right? So it's more difficult. Do you know what I mean? I think you just have to be more sensitive to it.
Yeah, things can slip in, especially because it depends on your threshold as a reader. So if an editor's reading something, I would be reading and being really hypersensitive to anything to do with abuse, anything to do with children. My alerts would be firing. Whereas somebody who isn't hypersensitive to that wouldn't maybe in the same way. So I do think it's an interesting subject, and I think it's one where editors and authors have got to be quite adaptive and reflective. If something does come up, it's like, yes, in a future edition we would include one. I'll add one to my, when you hear authors say they'll add one to their website based on feedback they've had, I don't think you should have to change everything you've done because of our readers' experience, because that becomes a bit like policing somebody's imagination. But I think that
what's upsetting for one person isn't upsetting for another. It's very difficult. I try to, especially if I'm beta reading, which I do for several indie authors, I try and imagine myself that age, right? So all my stepchildren that age. So when one of my stepchildren was 14, would I have let him read this?
Yeah.
And that's how I do it in my head.
Yeah, and it depends on the child. I was a lot less sensitive to that when I was younger, which should surprise you now because I'm a real scaredy cat. But as a teen, I wasn't very sensitive to a lot of things, whereas my brother was more. So my mum would just police what we read and watched differently and talk to him more about the content in advance. She'd kind of read it first and go, yeah, you're fine. So, yeah.
See, because that one, the one you've got, slash tag, we were talking about it last night, that's actually incredibly gory. But I think you'll really enjoy it just because of the story.
Yeah.
Because, it's just such a fascinating story. And I think you'll
gore,
enjoy
I'm
it because
fine
of that.
with. You wouldn't think that I would be, but people being killed and it being quite on a superficial level and they're just trying to survive in that moment, I'm fine with. Aftermath I struggle with, like people then dealing with the grief afterwards, I would find harder than the actual being in the moment.
It doesn't bother me with adults. I think if it's all adults in the cast, then that doesn't bother me what happens to them. That sounds heartless. I don't mean it like that.
No, I get it. They put themselves in that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're invited to a mysterious murder hotel, like to spend the night. I'm just gonna do that. Nothing will go wrong.
It's just such a fun premise. It's just such fun, and I love that kind of thing.
It's on I've got sort of varying degrees of piles at the moment, and it's on my read it soon pile. But at the moment, I've been really lucky. I've been getting loads of early copies of stuff. So I always try to prioritize those and read them before they come out. So anything that's already out just gets bumped further down. So there's loads of good stuff just sliding down the pile. Like I really want to read Catch Your Death by Ravina Garon as well. I did in November. It sounded so good. But because it's already out, it's going down my pile. And I'm really annoyed with myself because I really want to read it while it's still cold because it's a wintry thriller. So I'm going to try in December, January to get
I've got 13 books under my tree.
I don't think I've got many. I think my mum might have got
it's the Waterstone sale on Boxing Day.
Oh,
so that TBR ain't going down.
I'm going to definitely hit the Waterstone sale. But I've got one Junji Ito book that I bought myself, but for Kev to give me. And then I think I might have ordered a couple that my mum's got. I tend to send them to her house. She says get a couple of books for Christmas, so I don't even remember what they are, but I've ordered them to go there. So hopefully I'll have a few good things to read after Christmas. I think we've just got one more comment and then we'll do the last sprint. I'm just going to do...
It is, I agree. I love Hammer. Love Hammer
Yeah,
horror.
I haven't watched enough of it. I need
No.
to. I'm like aware of it all and seen bits enough to kind of reference it, but...
Do you know, I told you I've started getting Scream magazine.
Yeah, I do buy it. If I see something that draws me in, I will get it.
I got the sub for the year. So this is all Hammer horror, which is brilliant. And I got the new one today, which is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but I love Hammer horror. I remember watching them when I was a kid. You know, I absolutely love them. Although I tend to want to sing, tend to want to sing the song.
Nothing wrong with that.
Kate Bush.
It's interesting, isn't it, how authors do have, like, so if it's completely, you know, paranormal, then
Fantastical. Yeah.
more descriptive, but with a human. And I've talked to a lot of authors about this as well, and I think different authors feel differently about like paranormal being scarier versus real being scarier. I find real scary because it could happen to me. I find paranormal really fun but less scary because I'm not that scared that I don't believe in certain things, therefore I don't believe they're going to come and get me.
It's like you were saying about the YA book. The reason is so scary is because that actually happens in real life. When you read a book about a serial killer, that actually happens in real life.
Exactly.
That's far more frightening than, you know, some fantastical creature from another plane of existence, which is unlikely to be true.
Yeah.
I'm not ruling it out, Amy, because you never know.
Well, this is it. I'm thinking that I don't ever dare to put these things out into the universe just in case they do exist. So Sharon and I are open-minded. Please don't come and haunt us if you're listening.
Yeah, Cthulhu's calling.
We are just going to go to the next sprint. I'm just going to mark where we're up to in the comments, and then we'll catch up afterwards. This will be the last sprint. Unusually, I'm finishing a bit early because my voice is disappearing. I think Sharon's struggling too, although she's battling on like a trooper and not complaining as much as me.
It's because I've been on the phone for the last 2 days at work, catching up with everybody to get everything finished for the end of the year. So I've just spent like 8 hours a day talking.
Oh,
not that that's.
So you'll have a bit of recovery time over Christmas. You deserve it. Right, let's put this timer on, and then we will go to the sprint.
Cup of tea.
Right, that's it. The end of last sprint.
Hello.
Sorry, falling over on my chair. Did you have a good sprint, Sheriff?
Yeah, he's very, very good. I'm going to carry on for a bit. I think he's he's just transformed into the werewolf for the first time, so it's really, really good.
I'm enjoying this one too. We haven't had, I'm not going to say too much, we haven't had much in the way of transformation yet, but we're already thick in the murder mystery. And it's one of those that, although it's gory and it's sad somebody's lost their friend, it's sort of fun and a bit silly as well. Like a detective is sort of investigating with a kind of non-detective. She's just an everyday person who has an interest in the case. So there's lots of kind of sparks and back and forth going with them. So I think their romance is incoming. That must be the romance part of the romantasy. But it's the kind of fantasy I like. It's sort of creatures without being bogged down by lots of details. It just has fairies and witches and ghosts and stuff in it.
And it's just a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly I like fantasy like that too, where it's just a little bit on the edge of, fantastical. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And it's got sort of an interesting like premise that there's an upside and a downside to the world, and certain creatures live in the downside part and certain live in the upside. So yeah, it's ticking all the boxes. I've read 44 pages. If you can hear strange noises, that is Kev wrapping presents next to us.
Did you manage to wrap the toy?
Yes, the enormous ones that I was wrapping the other night. Yeah, that one was fine. It was when I got to the very last present and I'd got this much wrapping paper left and a present sort of this big. And I really wanted to wrap all of Nathan's presents in the same wrapping paper. So I thought, right, I've got to get really creative here. So I ended up at a jaunty angle with bits all folded into the middle to make a weird, like, Christmas cracker looking thing.
I hate wrapping. I hate wrapping.
Do you know what? I find it quite soothing. I like that, making a neat edge, folding it over, stick it down. It looks nice. However, Kev just said, do I want to do the wrapping that he's doing for his friend? And I was like, I actually can't do any more wrapping. I've hit capacity. I enjoy it, but I've done mine now, so I just can't.
I don't know why I don't like it, because I do crafts, like paper crafting and jewellery and all sorts of stuff, which I love. But I just find it so boring.
It's a bit repetitive. I always find it a bit frustrating that I do get pleasure out of making it look nice. I sometimes put ribbons and bows and stuff on. For children, I don't bother because they just rip it off. Yeah, but it does just get ripped off. It gets ripped off and recycled, and I just find that a bit sad that you've made something beautiful that's going to get ripped apart. I almost think, what's the point? But anyway.
My husband's wrapped all my presents and they look lovely.
Oh,
far better than my wrapping.
We're the other way around. I do the pristine, neat wrapping that looks really presentable, and Kev does the sort of quick. Kev ripped the wrapping paper just now. He didn't cut it. He ripped it.
I just fold it and tear it. Yeah, I do.
That's what Kev just did, and I'm shocked. I don't think I've got the skill. I would try and rip it, and it would just do a zigzaggy. I just don't.
You have to commit to it. You see, you have to just go. Just commit.
Yeah, I'd bottle it halfway through, and it would go woo. So no, not for me. Not for the faint of heart, definitely that. So let's see what the comments are saying. Yes,
yeah,
I've read
I love the Rats trilogy. Yeah, I love the Rats trilogy.
I need to read them. I read one in my teens, I think, if not my early 20s, and it's a long time since.
It's a great. It's one of the best. You don't get many trilogies in horror, so it's it's a great trilogy. I love James Herbert, and the guy I was trying to think of earlier is called Ramsey Campbell, not John Ramsey. Ramsey Campbell. He writes a lot
you read one bit of it, right? That's very close.
It's been a very long term.
I feel like I work in a school year. My energy reserves are really low. Normally, I'm quite good at like each day repicking myself up to do my evening's work, and I've been like really, really flagging with working in evenings at the moment. I think I just need. I'm going to do a bit of work over Christmas, but I do need a break.
I think that's because you stop. Well done. Well done, Adrian. It's because you stop. I've stopped now. My body knows I've stopped, and so now I just feel like,
that's me. I
just want to collapse in a corner. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to write those down because I'm just. Is The Howling the same as the movie? I've seen the movie The Howling. If it's the same thing, excellent. I'm getting more into werewolves. I used to very much vampires are ace. Not sure about werewolves, but I'm slowly realizing that werewolves can be cool. I think that Twilight I preferred the vampires to the werewolves, and I don't know. I've read lots of vampire stuff. I've read less werewolf stuff, so I think I've got less to kind of compare it to.
I think probably Ashlyn's story changed your opinion.
Yeah, I
Because
think
she made
so.
werewolves really cool. And
Yeah, she did.
vampires cool. I mean, vampires cool anyway. But she made werewolves cool.
Well, that's
Do
why
you
I
know what I
wrote
mean?
that short story in the which anthology was it? What was it called? Lurking in the Dark. Thank you, Kev. I'm so tired, I can't even remember. So I wrote that short story because I was like, I really want to write it about vampires initially. I thought, no, I can't write about vampires. Come on, do something else. So I thought, werewolves. I don't normally like werewolves. Let's try it. So I did that, and I was kind of riding this werewolf thing. And then a couple of months later, Ashlyn's proof arrived, and it was like the werewolf book that I was craving after writing about them. So it did set me on a little werewolf kick, but I haven't been able to find much more of what I want. So this is what I wanted. So I'm really happy. Look at it shining too.
And it's gorgeous. And also, I know you've got it as well, but Rachel Harrison's such sharp teeth is very good too.
Yeah, I've also got it on. I think I
And more adult horror.
book. Yeah, I've got it on my Audible, definitely. That's gonna be, I think, my next Audible listen after I finish the Buffy one.
The banter between the sisters and the friend is it's brilliant. Very much like Ashlyn's, but for an older audience, you know what I mean?
That's what I liked about Bad Dolls. It felt like a kind of grown-up YA book, if that makes sense. Like it had that kind of pithy, smart, concise thing that I like about YA, but also was obviously
a bit more adult.
Dealing with adult issues.
I like her writing too. Her writing's very smooth, so it's really easy to read.
It is. It's a rare author where I get an immediate urge. I need to read everything she's written like straight away. Yeah. I think I felt the same with Catriona Ward. I own all of her recent books, I think, like 4 or 5 of them. And that's the first one I picked up is the most recent. So I'm going to go back and read her back catalogue.
Little Eve is still my favourite.
Yeah,
is it Little? It's such a unique take on a cult.
I do need to get that then.
Yeah, it's very, very poetic as well. The language is very purple, so
yeah, I like that. That's what Looking Glass Sound is like. It reads like literary fiction in a lot of places. Yeah, and it's this really kind of stark coastal landscape that's just described really beautifully. But then this creeping horror's there, and it gets quite dark in places. And then is that kind of horror that's quite dreamlike and has you just questioning what's real, can I trust myself, can I trust anybody in this book? Sorry, Kev's being about as noisy.
Bless you.
He's like coughing in the background.
Yes,
the
way she writes imagery is really quite beautiful, I think. It's very evocative, her imagery. Catriona Ward, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start next year in January reading a few of their books. I'm going to pick up some Catriona Ward. I also really liked, is it Simone St. James who wrote, what did she write? She wrote something about a motel, which I haven't read. And then she wrote one about a true crime. Somebody who keeps a true crime website, and she ends up investigating something that's happening. And it's like one of those multi-generational books where you get to find out what the past. She meets this older, mysterious lady who was involved in a very sensational case, I think, a true crime case. I read it a long time ago. And since then, that book's been ticking over my head. I can't remember what it's called. I need to look it up. But after reading that, I went and bought a couple of her other books, then proceeded to not read them.
I do love things that are in 2 time zones, like timelines where they have like past, present, and future. I love when they do that. I really
and when
enjoy
it knits
that
together really beautifully, when it's executed well, that is just perfection, isn't it? When you start to see all the parallels.
And you're like,
I think you'd like that.
That's what happened.
The Book of Cold Cases. That's what it's called. The Book of Cold Cases. I enjoyed it. It's a little bit slower paced than I'm used to, but it was like worth sticking with. And it's one of those where it's like, is this a haunted house or is it just like haunted people, if you know what I mean? Like, are they like, overcome with grief and things that have happened to them, or is there actually something insidious in this house? There was lots going on in it. I really liked it.
I just finished, by the way. I think you recommended Read, Scream and Repeat.
Oh yeah, I have got it. I've not read it yet. How was it?
it's middle grade, right? But actually, the
Yeah,
stories are proper creepy. I mean,
excellent.
they're not scary for me, but for a child, I thought kids would love this. I would have loved this when I was like 7 or 8. But they're
It's been on my TBR past.
really good little stories. Kat Ellis's story is fantastic.
It's her first middle grade as well. I'm really pleased for her that she's managed to dip her toes into that, because her
Yeah,
story in
it's
the
brilliant.
anthology really creeped me out as well. I think that Kat is very, very good at getting under your skin and like really,
Yeah.
you know, certain horror where you put it down, you're like, oh, something's followed me out of that book. That's what I always feel like when I read Kat's books.
She always starts very kind of, it feels like it's just going to be like an everyday. And then she has a way of twisting things so that when you finish, you're like, hang on.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
But, Dawn's the same, isn't she?
Yeah, she
Or
is.
Dawn's
And
books are like that.
yeah, they are. They're quite different as authors, I think, but they have that commonality of that real, like, seeding dread. And
Yeah, just making it feel like, you're not quite sure what you've read.
yeah, I love that. I love
And it sits
questioning
in your
myself.
head for a little bit and just kind of festers.
Yeah, that's definitely what their books
206
do.
quid.
I always find that really galling when you know a book is brilliant and you just can't track it down. That's really annoying. It happens to me a lot, actually. You know, books that you track down that you remember you read years ago and you want to get a copy, and then you go, oh, I should have kept that 99p charity shop copy I got, because this is like that one, hundreds of pounds.
Do you remember a book when you might be too young, I think. When I was a kid, there was a book called The Dark Rising.
Yes,
And
was it Susan Cooper?
Susan Cooper. And
yeah.
so you start reading it yesterday. So you start reading it on the 20th, and it goes through the next 30 days.
Oh.
And they have a readathon for it every year. Do you think I can get a copy of that? It's so expensive to get. Like, I wanted a vintage copy. I didn't want a new copy. Even the new copies are pretty expensive, but I wanted a copy from when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, because when I was a teacher, the year I used to teach year 5, and the year 6 teacher used to encourage her year 6s to read that book.
Yeah.
So I remember we had quite a few copies knocking around in school, but I've not read it since I was a kid, I don't think.
Neither have I. And I just saw this readathon. I thought, what a great thing, it starts on the 20th. And so you can read like a chapter every day for 30 days. Or till the end of December. End of November.
Have you seen that Dracula daily thing where they email you the whole Dracula book, but on the dates that line up with the book? So, and unfortunately, I just read Dracula when I did subscribe to them because I thought it was a fun idea, but then I didn't end up reading it because I just reread Dracula. But I think at some point I'm going to leave rereading Dracula for a while and then do that, because it would be so fun to read it on the dates like that actually are in the diaries and stuff like that. I think it's really clever when people can tease that out, and like it just makes it more of an immersive reading experience.
It does. I had my order from Sinister Signs today.
Did you? What was it like?
So I've got a little thing that says "Bury me with books."
Oh, mine says "Read in peace." That I've got like that.
And then I got the creature bookmark. I really wanted the Beetlejuice one, but she'd sold it out. So, and a couple of stickers, and I got a coaster saying "Bookish Bitch" on it.
Oh,
so yeah, beautifully packaged.
Beautifully packaged, like 3D printed, really lightweight, but like hard wearing. My vampire bookmark is one of my only bookmarks that hasn't been destroyed by a small person, because he pulls bookmarks out of the book to have a look at them, and then normally they end up like that. And he's tried with that one, but nothing happens to it. It's indestructible so far. I bet you could snap it if you really tried. But she sent me a vampire one and then a bespoke Slayer one.
It's all green and dripping. It says creature. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I was very impressed.
The vampire one, and then she did the Slayer one in the Mina font and in the Mina purple, and it's
that
not
was
actually
gorgeous.
Just made it for the book. Like, it's so lovely. Like, I think when you find somebody from a small business who like really cares about the community that they're in and just goes above and beyond for people, it's just amazing.
And she does those fingers, don't they? She's one who does the fingers that you got.
I did it on my latest post. They look amazing with books. I mean, I just stuck them there, but you can sort of actually pose books in them. They're quite delicate, so you have to be careful. But they look great. There's stuff hanging from them too.
Do you want to say hello to Amy? Say hello, Amy.
I'm in a proper animal mood today. I was just playing with my brother's Boston Terriers earlier, so I could do with a kitty cuddle right now.
He's gorgeous, aren't you? Yes, you are.
Yes. Right. It is late.
Right.
I've really enjoyed chatting, but I think I need to go to bed. So thank you for coming on tonight.
No worries, anytime. Sorry about the tech issues.
It is what it is, isn't it? We always have tech issues. Everybody does. So I'll be doing a sprint next Thursday, definitely. I may do one earlier in the week, but it depends how I feel I feel like maybe not actually, because it's Christmas Day, isn't it? So maybe I'll not do one.
It's Boxing Day on
Monday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, possibly Boxing Day. I'll see where we are by that point. I might be too obsessed with Disney. I'm getting Disney Dreamlight Valley for Christmas, so I might just be playing on my Switch. I could sprint and Switch, I suppose, couldn't I?
Yeah, you could game on it. You know, people love watching people game on it.
I don't know how to do it.
Paula does it. Paula does it all the time, and she gets
Twitch. I know people do that Twitch thing, don't they, where you can actually see what people are playing. I'm too rubbish. I think I'd need to just be sitting there, and you can just pretend that I'm really good at it.
It's really relaxing to watch. It's kind of like visual ASMR. Yeah.
I'll look into that if I get any good at this game.
I don't game, so I don't know, but it's fun to watch. Hello, baby.
Yeah. Right. Well, night, and thank you, everyone. And so, definitely everyone. A week today. That might be the next time you see me. But I'll see you. It'll still be this year, won't it? So I'll see you next week in the comments, probably.
Take care, everyone. Bye.